Thank you. It's 1:02 p.m. on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. I'm calling the meeting to order. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start off with introductions. Onauna Thone, Chair of the Council. Hey, Allison, and just to confirm, you said we don't need to say if anybody's in the room with us anymore?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We're actually required. It's just, I think maybe it was suggested before because things were uncertain.
Okay, thanks, Allison. All right, I'll go to Mike. You're up next. Hey, Mike, if you want to introduce yourself. Oh, you're on mute.
Mike, you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Mike Tulang, Hilo, Hawaii.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Robin.
Hi, Robin K, Island of Lanai.
Thank you. Mary.
Mary Bejer, Hawaii Island.
Thank you. Ron.
Ron Terry and Hilo.
Thank you. Roy.
Roy Abe from Oahu.
Thanks, Roy. Gordon. Oh, Gordon. Gordon, are you able to unmute and do your introduction? Okay, and we're going to come back to Gordon. Don, go ahead.
Dawn Hager Nordblom from Maui.
Thank you. Mahina.
Aloha, Mahina Tutor on Oahu.
Okay, thank you. Steph.
Aloha, everyone. Steph Dunbar-Co.
All right, thanks, Steph. All right, and Gordon said he's having audio issues, so I think he just logged off and he'll probably log back in. Jen, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for the record? Okay. Not sure if Jen's still there. So we do have Jen from ERP hosting this. Scott, go ahead.
She just e-message us or,
Yeah.
chat us.
Sorry, Scott, go ahead.
Aloha, Scott Glenn, Interim Director of the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
Thanks, Scott. And Allison?
Allison Kato, Deputy Attorney General.
Okay, thank you. All right, and Makaala did say she was not going to be able to make it. I don't see Tessie on. And Rachel is probably going to be joining late, but we do have quorum, so we'll proceed. Thanks for everybody for joining. Again, we do have a lot of meeting minutes. We're pretty much caught up at this point. So big thanks to our student helpers and Kaylee, who's the current student helper. I'm hoping that folks were able to take the time prior to this meeting to look over the meeting minutes. Okay, great. Yeah, because I know it's hard to go through all of them. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes. And if there are any edits or amendments, we'll have folks do that during discussion.
I move that the minutes be accepted as circulated.
Second.
Okay, thank you. That was Mary and Ron, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much. So if we can go through, does anybody have any edits, suggested amendments to any of the meeting minutes? Please identify which meeting minutes you're talking about since we have so many.
I have a lot.
Okay, that's okay, Ron. Thank you.
Okay, and maybe the easiest way to do it would be go in chronological order.
Yep.
And I'll read out the date that I'm proposing, and then the next date somebody may have, other people may have it too. So I could just start with the first one. January.
Sorry, Ron, can I jump in and just make a point of clarification question? Ron, do you have edits that are like very substantive in nature, or mainly cleanup, clerical, that someone reading it would understand that this is a correction that needs to be made?
Yeah, more the latter, but I'm not bothering with typos or grammar or things like that. I'm mostly concerned with people's names and a couple issues where there's a lack of clarity that are a little more
Okay.
substantive.
Okay,
But it was pretty quick last month. I think we can do it quick this month.
Yeah, and I'll take notes and then I will pass them on to Kaylee, who can make the cleanups. Or, particularly for the names to get that clear for the record, so.
Well, the minutes were real clear, so you did a good job last time. Well, just let me say, January 5th, 2021. Okay, first page, public. We had Neil Fujii, Fujii, and Alan Simeon, Simeon. And on the last page, I don't know why bother, first paragraph, third line, taking the out community of the appeals, taking the community out of the appeals.
Taking the word community out.
It's, no, I'm sorry, the
No,
literal.
it's
what it's-
confusing the way it's written.
Yeah, probably Onauna's not looking at it, and
Let
which
me
is
bring
more
it up.
efficient. It says taking the out community
Mhm.
and change that to taking the community out.
Got it.
Kind of a marginal one, but. And then I don't have any changes on February or. Looks like there was 2 meetings in February or but I do have March.
Okay,
Anybody in between? So March, public present, David Penn has 2 N's in his name. Maybe he wouldn't care. April.
Okay.
This is a little more substantive and I'm glad Robin is here. This is on page 2. Robin, I don't know if you can get April 2021 minutes up. On page 2, strategic planning group update. This is so long ago, who knows what I said? But I believe this is committee chair Robin Kay, not Terry, right?
that's correct.
I've sat in for people once in a while, but I don't think I said any of this. And you
That's a
were
good
there.
catch. I know you always wanted to be chair and you kept pushing
Yes.
me out, but it didn't actually happen at that meeting, so.
Yeah, and 2 old guys with a beard. What's the difference?
Really, we could pass for twins.
Yeah. So, okay, then I don't have anything for May or July, and I don't think we must not have met in June. I don't see any minutes. Yeah, Mary, yeah.
I have a July.
Go ahead.
And it's not a big deal. It's kind of like the last one you mentioned. On page 3, item number 7, INO committee update. It's more the semantics. I was reporting on the forum that we held
Mhm.
rather than commenting on. I don't know, it's not a big deal, but I wasn't sure how much you wanted to drill down on all this stuff.
Okay, no, that's fine.
So anyway, that's all.
Now, we did I guess the August, September, October, November meetings in the other meeting.
Yep,
Okay, so we come to December of 21, okay?
yeah, this is the one that you wanted more time to review. The links were bad for December 2021 and January 2022. That's what it was.
Got it. Okay, this is a really minor one, but they spelled Mary's name wrong on page 5. So,
Thank you.
yeah, right under 11. If you're gonna read them, you gotta find something, right? So
That's good. I'm glad you folks are reading these. Okay.
January 2022. Last page, 4 of 4, about the 7th line. Representative Tarnas, just think we should spell his name right, Tarnas. A lot of people in this room would agree with that.
It's spelled wrong several places.
Okay, good. Glad you caught it.
So it could just be a word search to make sure it's correct.
Okay.
March. This is a fun one. At the bottom of page 1, March 22, Ms. Need Polly reports on the cesium program, and it's got cesium like the atomic element. And I think they meant CZM.
So Ron, what you're catching is we've put together a new method of doing the meeting minutes where I think the intern is using YouTube's closed captioning as the start to help get the base down and then try to clean it up from there.
Yeah, well, they did an incredible job. I mean, it's astounding how anybody could do all this, because I do the minutes. It takes me an hour and a half to do an hour meeting minutes. So this is amazing. And they spell CZM correctly elsewhere. So somehow it caught it. And that's really all I have.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Does anybody else have any changes to the meeting minutes? Okay,
Ron saw what I saw
great.
and
Steph?
more.
Yeah, I do. But again, this is our last meeting minute. So for April, for last month's meeting. So this would be page 5, first paragraph. And it's the last sentence, to the extent that the EAC can find the appropriate amount of support for the resolution, she expressed her concern. I think that's confusing because what I was saying wasn't supporting the resolution. It was supporting more support and more time to really look into the resolution. So maybe what would be easiest is just cutting out the to the extent the EAC can find the appropriate amount of support for the resolution and just start with she expressed her concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let me just finish making that note. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Anybody else? And hi, Tessie, I see that you're here. Tessie, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Tessie Kinnaman, Kauai, no one's in a room.
Thank you. And then Gordon, did you want to introduce yourself real quick? If you're able to.
Yes, I'm Gordon. I have my technical audio issues taken care of for now.
Awesome.
On
Thank you.
Oahu, and someone's kind of far away, but I'm good.
Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
I also wanted to commend Dawn for being right side up in the meeting today. She was upside down earlier.
Okay. All right, thank you guys. All right, so motion on the floor is to approve the slate of meeting minutes we have. So it's January through July and December 2021, January through June 2022, and April 2023. As amended. Mary and Ron, you folks approve of the amendments, to your motion. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please raise your hand and keep them up. Okay, we have everybody. It is unanimous, so I won't go ahead and do a roll call. Unanimous with those present. Thank you. All right, thanks everybody for reviewing. So going forward, we shouldn't have kind of these big slates of minutes to review since we're now pretty much caught up. So we'll continue to keep going forward on that with our student helper. Thank you so much. All right, Scott, I'll hand it over to you for your director's update.
Thanks, Anana. I have a few things to run over with you guys. So first off, legislative update, we're in the final throes of session and Thursday is supposed to be the last day. The budget was voted out today. I think maybe it'll be on Thursday, but pretty sure the budget's done. And there are several more bills pending. Most of OP's substantive bills did not make it out of conference committee. A few did, including one that we really wanted, which was amending the SMA definition of development to take out a lot of Manini things and some Hawaiian cultural practices like fish pond restoration and some of those from having to get the whole SMA permit process. So that's one that looks like it's going to be voted on. The Environmental Advisory Council cleanup bill has already been signed into law. Governor signed that. Act 24, I think it is. And that bill is, he had to sign it within 10 days because it was passed out before the end of session. Like the timing when the legislature enrolled it to him, he only had 10 days to do it. So it was a very quick process. The other bills, we're still waiting to kind of find out what happened. OP's budget seems to be mainly holding steady. No increase in positions for Office of Planning itself. It looks like the Land Use Commission might be getting one position in relation to Dan Orodinker's testimony that there's somehow 60,000 housing units that the Land Use Commission has approved and they need a position to help go research why those units haven't been built. So that's the premise, I think, of the position that he's getting. Funding wise, I think OP will be continuing to do the $2 million transit-oriented development planning grants. And then Hawaii Community Development Authority was appropriated about $86 million in TOD infrastructure projects. And so they'll be working with OPSD and HHFDC on TOD related projects across the state, not just Oahu. On the climate side, there's the $100 million that the governor had announced was not appropriated as a specific line item thing on adaptation. However, there is $100 million for the Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority to do rooftop solar and battery for low-income families across the state. And that'll be really amazing. That money is expected to help 4,000 families, Alice families, lower their electric bills anywhere from $50 to hundreds of dollars a month. So it'll make a big difference in a lot of people struggling to get by with their electric bills. Other things are still, we're just waiting to hear if they get voted out today or they get floor amendments. If you saw, there's apparently another bill related to the Land Use Commission would give the county authority to reclassify lands up to 100 acres. But there was a floor amendment today that provided a whole detailed procedure on how the county would have to do it if they're going to do it. That we're still digesting ourselves on whether that's actually an even implementable set of amendments that were put into it. So there's still a lot to basically be understood, as well as with the budget itself. Right now we have a bunch of top line items, but we're not going to get the budget worksheets that explain the detail of the allocations until probably another 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks. So the session will be done, the budget will be enrolled to the governor, and we will be all trying to figure out what was actually appropriated, and then the worksheets will come out and then we'll know. So I guess stay tuned on what the OPSD director reports and what's in the budget worksheets. Those usually are not really publicly distributed, but they are publicly available. So maybe you can reach out to Jen or someone to get them if you're not able to find it yourself, if you want to see what the worksheets say when they come out. Couple other things just to touch on. Jen and Tom Eisen and I met yesterday to talk about ERP. With Les's retirement, it's certainly a blow to the office. And one thing that we're very cognizant of is right now, Tom is a one-man band on doing the environmental notice with no backup. And so it's very thin there, and we're working on cross-training one of the other staff that work on the 7th floor in the special plans branch to be able to backfill Tom in case he gets hit by a bus or sick and can't get up. So we're working on that. We are recruiting a planner 3 to, we've had, I think, a couple candidates interviewed or on the list, but hasn't worked out yet. So we'll be continuing to do that. We did have a discussion about immediate steps we can do for ERP. And one thing that we agreed on, Tom, Jen, and I, was that it makes sense to, this could be a little bit of government speak, but reclassify Les's position. Right now, it's an environmental health specialist 3, and DBED doesn't have environmental health specialists, and OPSD doesn't really have a use for environmental health specialists. So as an administrative step that OP and DBED can do is reclassify that position from an environmental health specialist to a planner. And so by doing that, it would create more flexibility for that position to support ERP and OPSD more broadly. Plus, with the way that ERP got jammed into OP, that position reports directly to the director. And so in effect, what we're looking at doing is having ERP have 2 planner 3s, one that would report to Tom and provide support to Tom and be the main person doing the notice, while Tom focuses on training and guidance and those things. And then the other planner 3 report to the planning director and provide the support to the Environmental Advisory Council. So we'd have basically 2 planner 3s tag teaming the notice and the Environmental Advisory Council, but also one of them more oriented towards the notice and the other more oriented towards the director. And then from there, with the new director, they will decide what direction they actually really want to take and how they want to integrate ERP into the office. But those are some immediate steps that we can do. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. In terms of appointments, I haven't heard anything about Environmental Advisory Council appointments. I think at this time, it was really get the cabinet confirmed and get the budget passed. And so once interim starts, I imagine that the governor's office will start looking at boards and commissions more seriously, beyond the ones that they had to fill, like BLNR or the university or things like that. So I would expect that conversation to pick up probably later in May or sometime in June. For myself, Thursday is my last day, and I've stopped shaving. I'm wearing slippers. I had to stop myself from wearing shorts though. I'll be taking a total break in service. So I'll be unemployed and resting and doing some R&R throughout May. And then I'm in talks with the governor about potentially coming back into government sometime in the summer in a different capacity. TBD on what that might look like and when it might happen. But I think I'm going to just take a total break and get some rest, do some traveling, read some books, and sleep. So I just want to also say that I really appreciate you guys, and there's a certain poeticness to you guys rolling off, some of you all next month, and me rolling out now. That, you know, when I started at OEQC and you know, David Ige at the time didn't really have the environmental council or OEQC on his radar. And so when I started, I had said, you know, I want to update the admin rules. That's what we got to do. And I need a board that's willing to do it because the board has the rulemaking power. And he said, it's your canoe. And he just handed me all the applications that people had put into the website for boards and commissions. And so I sat there with Mike McCartney and David Ige, and we went through all the resumes and said, who do we know? Who do we not know? And I said, Gov, I want someone from every island if this effort is going to have legitimacy. And there were a couple people that I called and actively recruited, like Ron. There was some other people that I was heavily recommended to bring onto the board. like Maka'ala, which I don't know if you guys know, but David Frankel called me and he said, if you're going to be doing the rules, you need someone like Maka'ala on your board. And I said, I don't know who that is. And he said, you need her. Okay.
That's great.
Other folks like Robin, Mary, and others that I didn't know but had applied. Robin had been on CZM and was looking for something new, and Mike, you being in there, and Roy, you being on the council already, having that relationship from going from being a fellow council member to OEQC. It was just a really good team, and it's meant a lot to me to get to work together with you guys. I was hoping we'd get to do some fun stuff with OP, but I just really appreciate the camaraderie and collegiality and all the sweat and effort and heartache and dedication you've given to the state and serving in this. And what I know is often an underappreciated board, but I really appreciate you guys a lot and consider you all my friends and people that I intend to continue working with in whatever role I'm in. And, always want to be open and available to you guys too, when anything comes up. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Scott. We're going to miss you. And just thanks for your leadership over the years. I know I can probably speak for everybody. We were really excited to have you back. And even though it was short-lived this time, still appreciate all your help with everything and for bringing us all together.
Gee, it's like the Fellowship of the Ring. Hey, Scott, I had a question about your report. Sorry. Sorry, my wife just came in the room. Totally confused me here. Oh, about the Land Use Commission. What did they say? What special conditions were thrown on there?
On the 100-acre.
Yeah, that one.
There's a lot in there. It's has to be 100% affordable housing. The county has to retain ownership for 99 years. Some percentage has to be for extremely low income housing. It's a whole lot of stuff that's in there. I'll just post the link here in the chat.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
That's
This
really
is
a
the
shame because
CD.
that bill was worked on very collaboratively among, and other organizations gave up other bills to support this bill. So that's just, I put that in the chicken category.
Yeah. Actually, they have the CD2 up. So that should be what they voted on, is CD2.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Got
this
it.
is,
Thanks.
So yeah, 99 years, affordable housing, 75% housing units for below 100% AMI. Yeah, a bunch of other stuff.
Check it out.
Scott, yeah, thanks for your service. I was just wondering if you could provide your contact information after you leave the planning department. You don't have to provide, now, but maybe if you can email us later, you can keep in touch.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for all your hard work.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, folks. Well, any other questions for Scott on his report? This is our last meeting with him. Really. Okay.
I'm just
Well,
glad.
yeah. Oh, sorry, Robin. Go ahead.
Just glad to see that the scars have healed, unless you're willing to show us your back. Seriously, I want to just take a moment. I don't know if we can officially say anything or do anything. I don't really care. I just want to thank you for several things, for recruiting me, for trusting me. We had a really, really fascinating initial conversation about being objective, and I thought you did a really good job putting us together. And the way in which you ran us through the rules process was phenomenal. And the community benefited so much, not so much by the end result, but by the process. And you were very thoughtful about that. And I've certainly enjoyed knowing you, and I intend to call you on those rare occasions when I come to Honolulu and make you go to dinner with me still. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Don, go ahead.
Scott, I'm pretty sure being the governor will appoint you in a great position in the future. And so I'm pretty sure we'll see you in June somewhere, so I appreciate you and Onana cornering me in the ballroom at the Hyatt to ask me to be on the council, but I appreciate your service. Hopefully we'll do it again, right? And you'll be on the same board.
All right. Anybody else got anything for Scott? And
I'd just like to say thank you and thank you to your family.
Yeah, thank you.
well, I
Yeah,
hope you have
Eric
fun.
and I send you our big ahui ho, and we look forward to doing this professionally again in some other capacity, but thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Steph.
Go ahead, Tessie.
Scott, I just want to say thank you so much for being there for all of us. You're great help, great leader. See you in June.
Thanks,
Thank
Tessie.
All
Thank you,
right.
Scott.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Gordon. All right. All right. Thanks, Scott. Well, I don't know if you're planning to hang on, but we'll go through our other regular business. And yeah, thank you again for everything.
Thanks. I think I'm gonna hop off, guys. So
Okay. I'm sure you have a lot of work to do. So are you
Gotta
gonna be
smoke a cigar probably right now,
are you gonna be there till end of day on Thursday? Or are you good to sleep?
roughly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. Aloha, everyone.
Bye. Okay, I'm gonna hand it over now to you, Mary, for the INO committee update.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Where do I start? So the INO committee has been working for several months now on getting the appropriate checklist together. It's I'm hoping you guys actually have this stuff printed out so you can look at them side by side, because it makes it a lot easier. If you look at the procedures and checklists for environmental advisory panel, council public forums and presentations that was approved in August of 21. You look at that, and then you look at, you put side by side the document that we've sent to you, that starts out with the big bold draft, and it says that this checklist is for internal committee use. All of those A, B, 3, 4, whatever, those are all correlated to the prior document. So it's like we looked at A, purpose. How do we meet that purpose? B, initial planning, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we answered our own questions. So we didn't change the purpose. Initial planning, we gave ourselves a work list to work from. And so that's how you look at this entire document. Ron, you sent me an independent question about thank yous. And I just wanted to make sure that I was catching that. So you're looking at G, the follow-up, following the event, number 1, who will send thank you notes / gifts? You're muted, sir.
I was looking at F.
F, day of the event. Oh, those thank yous. Okay. Oh, I see what you're talking about. I don't even know what that's supposed to say.
Include each and all or something like that? Was that what it was? Do you think?
I'd probably include any and all.
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to say. Let's
Okay.
look at that typo fix. Thank you. I've looked at this document way too many times.
I know how it feels.
See stuff anymore. So we're open to questions, critiques, improvements, volunteers to be on INO. We would request that the INO committee has met and approved this document to come forward to the full EAC. And I would request that the EAC give us their blessing.
I move to approve it. If it's the appropriate time, are we gonna do one at a time, Onana?
Well, the first one was actually already approved, the procedures checklist. So the full document. And I just want to say thank you, Mary, for explaining how this checklist works. So I think that makes a lot of sense the way that you explained it now. But yeah, Ron, do we have a second to Ron's motion?
Second.
Okay.
But it is for internal use only, so does it, do
Well,
we
I mean,
really need to?
yeah, I don't know if we really need to approve the internal.
Yeah, unless
Allison,
Mary
thoughts on
just
that?
wants it.
Yeah, because the formal document, right, the one that's in
Yeah.
our policies and procedures, that one had already been approved.
Right.
Wait,
As
this one-
is.
We were just, part of it was that too much was in my head and then other
Mhm.
things were in Dawn's head. And if Dawn and I go walk in front of the same bus one day, then somebody needs to know why we walked in front of the bus. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and I'm actually thinking, and you know what, it might have been my mistake, but I didn't actually put an action item for approving the checklist. And I think that's because we probably don't actually need to approve it. So, yeah, Allison, you're okay with not approving their kind of internal? Yeah,
Yep.
I would say it's basically your worksheet, right, for your day.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
worksheet for, okay. So, so Ron, you're okay with?
Yeah, I'll withdraw my
Yeah,
motion.
thank you.
But I did want to say that I think that with the annual report shrinking into like that little dot on your old fashioned TVs that used to just kind of go away. The INO is going to be our most important outreach to the community. That's how people are going to know the Environmental Council. And more than that, it's going to be the most of our work is going to be through them. That's how we're going to get the input, and that's how we're going to reach out to people if it's not annual reports. So I think it's really key. And Mary said people should join. I think that maybe should be the biggest committee and the most active committee.
That's a good point, Ron. Thank you.
And
Any-
since I'm in my last couple of years, somebody else should chair it so that there's, just while we're at our wish list.
Mary, that might be a good thing to add to INO committee's committee meeting for June. So you folks can internally decide who should be the next chair, probably somebody who's been on the committee for a bit, and then we can work on recruiting folks over to that committee.
Thanks, Anana.
Steph, sorry, did you have your hand up? No? Okay. Anybody else have questions for INO on the internal checklist? So Mary, just to be clear, no changes to the other, the formal procedures document, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I guess I was gonna say then, did you have any updates on?
We're
upcoming-
waiting to hear back from Rep. Lowen's office as to what her availability in June is. We're
Okay.
targeting that third week of June. That's what I requested, if that would work for her.
Okay.
And then Dawn has a report. I think we got an update. Did we get that, Dawn?
US Fish and Wildlife, we're gonna do the presentation about the new platform that they're requiring people to get those letters from at the end of May, but I'm waiting for Carrie to get back to me regarding the exact date in May. So I don't think we're gonna meet before then, but we'll make sure that it disseminates somehow. So I guess once I get her bio, we'll start working on everything, but I think she's worked on the PowerPoint and her bio. So that should be very exciting for those of you who need to generate letters or anyone else in the county or the state.
Okay, great.
So right now, it looks like it's going to be the 24th or 25th. Is that correct, Dawn?
I think so. I just asked her to clarify, just so I know, and we know, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, great. Looking forward to both of those. Any questions for INO committee? Okay. Well, thanks, Mary. Thanks, Dawn, for that. I will hand it over to Robin to lead the discussion for legislative committee.
Okay, first, thank you, Mary, for taking over the committee last month. Much appreciated. I read the minutes. It sounded like you did a terrific job as usual, so thank you.
I didn't commit you to too much.
Just call me Ron from now on. It's just not much to report. Scott covered a lot of it. You saw I put not moving on just about every bill that we were following. The only one, SB 304, I had that it was in conference, but that's the one with the visitor fee that did not make it out. So that's gone. Pretty much everything else that we were covering didn't go anywhere. The 1535 that, as Mary pointed out, allows the Director of Transportation to exempt ground transportation. Last I looked, that was in conference. I don't know if that's come out. Mary, do you know more about that one?
What I know is that we are working overtime on replicating the 7th grade playground at the state capitol right now. And
Okay,
that's as polite as I can express it.
got it.
It's really a mess.
The bill to clean up our request, as Scott mentioned, has already been signed. It's now Act 24. So basically, nothing that we were following moved forward. I won't take up much more of your time. Any questions on any of that? Okay.
Tessie, go ahead.
Yeah, Robin, Scott mentioned something about fish ponds
Mhm.
being an exemption. I forgot what he said. I remember him saying fish ponds and
That was for they're trying to exempt the definition of development in the special management area. So I think that's under HRS chapter 205. I didn't catch, I don't know if he gave the bill number, but
He did not, and I forgot to ask him for it. So I don't have information on that, but certainly if you find out, we'll check it out, but no.
that's not House Bill 749, is it? The Waikiki one?
We can
No.
look.
uh,
I don't think so, but
no, I don't think so either. I think it would be a more general bill. That one hadn't been on my radar. It should mention HRS 205. It's talking about the definition of development in the special management areas. Oh, 205A, excuse me.
Oh, sorry, are you looking for the bill about the SMA, the
Yes.
development definition? Oh, maybe it's HB 365.
HB 365. Thanks, Allison. Yeah, that looks.
yeah, it says 428 transmitted to the governor.
Yeah, that one's moved forward.
So
There
yeah,
was HB what, 6?
365. Yep, that's the one. So it's looking to exempt from the definition of development,
Fish
all
ponds.
traditional fish ponds and traditional agricultural practices. And then some other,
Yeah, there's a number of things.
yeah. Okay, interesting.
so we'd have to look
Yeah.
at the final bill, but it looks like it's moved to the governor, so.
Mhm.
So that's my report. Sorry, I missed that one. I wasn't following that one.
No, it's okay. Thank you. There's a lot going on at Ledge this session. Okay, before I move on, sorry. Rachel, do you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself for the record?
Sure, Rachel Sprague calling in from Lenape City. No one else is in the room with me. Sorry for being tardy.
No worries. Thanks, Rachel. So I did add on here just a note, continued discussion about, House Concurrent Resolution 70 and House Resolution 71. Last we checked, I believe those did not, proceed any further. So I don't think we need to continue to go into further discussions. We had a really, really good discussion last time. And again, there are some things that I think we assessed as the council that we could do. So we can always add that for another day going forward if you folks want to take on any of that.
I did look at that one just before the meeting and it did not move. It's gone. So
Okay.
thank goodness.
It was going to be a lot in a very, very short time period, which was our primary concern. And I'm not sure how much of an appetite, DLNR had to proceed with that, or OPSD as well. So,
And UH, they wanted UH in there too. I mean,
yeah.
so no, no, I'm glad it didn't move forward.
Right. And I think even for part of our testimony, I mean, they wanted to include everything that was in the rules and the statute. Internally, again, through that rulemaking process in 2017 through 2019, we kind of went through all the rules more targetedly, I don't know if that's the correct word, but on a more targeted basis, excuse me. We've already been talking as a group of certain things that we might want to update with the rules. I know there's a exemption pigs committee that's still out there in terms of looking at specifically exemption stuff. So we are kind of, taking on some of that work that was suggested by those resolutions. So, and we'll continue to work with that.
One of the most interesting things to me about that whole conversation was Allison's pointing out that we really were under no legal obligation to fulfill a resolution. That was very informative and very helpful. I understand the political ramifications, and maybe they cut our budget from 0 to -40, but it was really healthy to know that we did not have to do that. So thank you for that, Allison. I always thought if the ledge passed a resolution, then you had to get on it. So it was good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, I was told the concurrent, if it's, a two house resolution, then it has some teeth, right? But not when it's just
Not
from one.
legally.
Legally still? Okay.
Not legally, it's just that if it's concurrent, then it's a little more serious, I guess, non-legally.
Okay.
I think it was Scott who said that if it was concurrent, the governor would try to make it happen.
Mhm.
But if it was just one house, you could, just deal with the political.
Maybe joint resolution is the word we're looking for.
Yeah.
Is that something? Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So,
But
but
still no
Allison,
legal obligation, but more teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, because in the end, it's still just that's why it's says it's a request. But,
Okay.
yeah, it was good to know that we have that flexibility.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions on the stuff we've been following, or any other stuff coming out? I think for me, one thing we weren't following, but it was the financing bill, which was or the public financing bill for campaigning. I was hoping would go through. So that was a bummer to hear that one's dead. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else too exciting out there. Unless other folks have stuff. No. Okay. So Steph, I'll go ahead and pass it to you. I know AR didn't meet today, but I did include an agenda item just for continued discussions on the annual report, to the extent as a group we needed to, further discuss. I know with Scott leaving, again, we don't know who our director is going to be after Thursday. I'm kind of inclined, at least, depending what the group wants to do, we can do a similar, high level report for this coming year, and whoever the OPSD director is, will ask them if they can just, transmit it to the ledge for us. But of course, this could change. We're only in May right now. So whatever annual report committee recommends, we'll go with that.
Thanks, Onauna. I had thought, we had a pretty robust discussion about the annual report 2 meetings ago. And so not wanting to continue to have the discussion over and over again, but at the same time, really appreciating Robin and the strategic planning committee playing a role in this larger discussion about who are we, what's our annual report, and where do we want it to go. And so, Robin, thank you for leaning in again. He had missed the meeting where we had broad discussion about the annual report. And so regrouping around that decision-making that we had made as a full council, and coming to the decision that the 2023 annual report would be basically follow the 2022 report, where it's largely a summary. recognizing that this is largely an internal document. We are its greatest readership. And so making it valuable to us in terms of both detailing the work that we've done and the direction that we want to go. Post that, there was conversation around the annual report's future more broadly, particularly given all of these things that have plagued us as a committee around lack of budget, direction, and now, right, OPSD actually not having an annual report requirement. I think our loss of Scott is also a really big one. He held that institutional knowledge and in my mind, also the support to help produce an annual report that wasn't just necessarily meaningful to us, but meaningful to the broader community. So all of that said, the recommendation that we came to a couple of meetings ago that you all were a part of still stands, that the 2023 report will be largely a summary. And this is in part a decision that's a function of Allison's recommendation guidance that we are still beholden to produce an annual report, even though OPSD does not have one. What we talked about within the strategic planning committee is a small group of us post-session convening and talking with Rep. Lowen and Senator Gabbard about changing the statute moving forward so that we did not have to produce an annual report. Robin, others, feel free to chime in with anything I may have missed or
I think you're right on,
thoughts that
Steph.
you all have.
I think you stated it very eloquently, and I think we've got to put this annual report issue to bed. It's just been a drag on us. It's been an internally divisive. It's been an unmitigated challenge. Is that right? Unmitigated challenge. It's been a
Sounds good.
real challenge for whoever was in charge of it. And in fact, if you'll remember, we lost a council member in large part because of this annual report. So I think exactly what Steph said. I don't know, Onana, if you actually need us to vote on a motion to do those two things, to have this year's annual report be a summary and to talk to the two rep and senator about changing the requirement, or whether that's an internal thing that we just move forward on. But I really would like to see this put to bed.
No, thanks to you folks. Can't vote on anything now because I didn't put an action item on. I can add one to next month if we need, but Allison, is that, I mean, if we're gonna just produce our annual report as we have, which is, as Steph characterized it, and have a summary of the year in review and a look forward, do we even need an action item for that? So
Not really. It's up to you though, if you want to.
Well, and to add to that, right, we voted this out of subcommittee. We voted this out of committee. And so my understanding was that there didn't need to be a full council vote because it came out of committee.
And
But
the
please
idea of
correct me
talking,
if I'm wrong.
the idea of talking to Rep. Lowen and Senator Gabbard is part of the legislative committee's responsibility that's been approved by motion anyway. So as long as Allison's okay with it, I just think it becomes our internal guidance. And when sessions power, we'll call them up and have another conversation. And
yeah, I think that's fine.
That's fine.
great, good, Steph, good work.
Yeah, well, thank you all. I wish it was better news, but hey.
It is better news. It's much better news.
It's what we can do, and I think there are other efforts we can focus on
Agreed.
besides the part. So any other folks have comments or questions on the annual report update? All right, well, thank you, folks. Okay, moving on, our next agenda item is, discussion again of EAC member terms. Thank you, Dawn, for finding out who the new secretary is. I had sent a couple of emails, or maybe more than a couple of emails, prior to session ending, trying to get folks reappointed. before the end of session. Unfortunately, I didn't get any responses except from Sharon Ibarra, who's not the secretary anymore, but she was very helpful and willing to help us. I think, Scott mentioned they just weren't focused on boards and commissions during session with all of kind of the turmoil going with, the cabinet appointments. So hopefully we can get back to that and get, like Dawn, for example, I know you're up in June. So I think, you can stay on. That was only your first term for about a year. So I'm not too worried about it. Thanks to everybody who submitted information. In your agenda, I have the updated council terms document and did try to calculate when folks can stay on based on when they were appointed. I will say, Allison, when I spoke to Sharon, she thought that it was when you were confirmed, that's when your term starts. But I think, and I looked at the statute, it's when you're actually appointed, if I'm not mistaken.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, so I'm in agreement with that based on my read of the statute and talking to you. So that's what these dates are calculated on. So, Roy, I think you were the year before. So we get you till August 19 if you're willing. I think that's the latest you could hold over is
Yeah.
August 19th
Yeah,
of this
that'll be
year.
fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'll be good.
So,
I
I have a question. So when you
Go
say
ahead.
appointed, is that like when you take the oath of office? Is that the official date or?
Because so oath of office, I think it's the date of your appointment letter. So there's an actual letter that comes in. The oath of office you don't take until after you're
Yeah,
confirmed.
okay, that's just a formality then. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a formality. So I know you said yours is August 20th was your oath of office. If you find your actual appointment date, yeah, because I think I did actually calculate yours based on your oath of office. That's the only date I had. I'm trying to just hold on to everybody for as long as we can.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah, so I mean, take a look at this if you folks have anything else to update. If not, there's gonna, I know Ron, you were thinking you would get off at the end of June. I've been trying to convince you to stay on longer. So, if you're willing, and we can continue those discussions. But there will be a lot of us who actually term out in 2024. So Robin, I know, has been recruiting, sending actual emails to recruit folks. And I would encourage others to do the same so that we can get applications in and hopefully get people appointed either on an interim basis or in the due course. Gordon is going to be leaving us after our, you'll be here for June meeting though, right, Gordon? Yep, okay. And then Ron, sorry, you had unmuted. Did you want to say something?
Just like Roy, that'll be fine.
Okay, thanks. I'll hang on to you guys as long as I can. Thank you, I appreciate it.
I have a question for Gordon. So traditionally we got the construction representative from the what's that group you're in?
Environmental committee,
Yeah, of the General Contractors
General
Association.
Contractors Association,
So,
yes.
so are you folks gonna find somebody?
You
That's
know,
all. That's it.
I've been trying, I've been the chairperson of the committee, going on 2 years, and I can't even get a vice chair out of my committee.
Okay. Okay.
So it's pretty apathetic right now. We're trying to drum up support. I bring it up every meeting because it's part of our agenda to bring up what we talk about monthly. So I am trying. So it's not dead yet. It's just not that easy right now.
Okay.
Hey, Gordon, do you have any folks on the Big Island that are interested in the environmental aspect of general contracting? I know a lot of the contractors here.
We're wrapping up a job in Kona, and I don't think we'll have any, I don't know if any upcoming work on the Big Island. We are on various islands, and I'm trying to work with our subcontractors also, who are on outer
Well,
outer
like
islands.
Les Isimoto, contracting, guys like that. Goodfellows got a bunch of people. Nan Inc., Bowers Kubota, all those guys have to interact with Chapter 343 in some way. Are they involved in your organization?
Not a lot of them, and a lot of them are just involved by name only. But what I can do is reach back out to the association to see instead of and go beyond our committee to see what kind of support or other people who may want to come and join. Because I know, I mean, it's instrumental for us to know what's going on and to be up to date with everything. So I'm still trying.
Yeah, well, if any of those guys know me, you could mention my name. If they happen to know me, I could give them another perspective too if they want to see.
Okay. Sure.
That'd be great. Thanks, Gordon, for continuing those efforts. And one person I was maybe thinking of for the construction, you know, Pane Meatonga he was attending a lot of things, but I think
He said he was too busy. He was on another board, right?
Yeah, I don't know, recall if, did we talk to him? Did we corner him? I can't remember. Okay, we did.
We done.
Okay, well, we'll keep looking and recruiting folks, so. All right, so we're gonna continue to update this sheet and just, you know, keep better track of our terms. And again, for the folks that we don't have information completed for yet, if you do find anything, let me know so I can plug in. I think the appointment dates are really important just for calculating the 8 years. All right, and any questions on that, member terms or recruiting efforts?
Yeah, I had a question. So if we find somebody, what's the procedure? Do we send the resume to you and make a recommendation, or do we send it to the boards and commissions? What's the procedure?
So you should direct them to the boards and commissions website because there's an application form that needs to be filled out and they can upload their resume. And then go ahead and shoot me an email with their name because most likely boards and commissions gonna reach out to me anyway and say, hey, what do you think of this person? But at least if you send it to me, and again, because we haven't been getting responses with the new administration just yet, it would be good to let me know once the person has actually put their application in, because then I can go ahead and email them or call them and say, hey, we know that we have these applications in. Can you folks take a look and, you know, see if Gov is willing to appoint them?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
so-
me, you know, it would be specifically an engineer. So I would want that you know, slot filled.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so direct them to the boards and commissions website. There's apply online. I think there's one application, a pull down for, you know, whatever boards and commission you're looking at, and then pretty self-explanatory application process from there.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, good. Thank you. So next up, you know, reminder, I put on here to make sure that you folks are sending emails to the general DBED email address. Les retired as of last week, Friday. And so I think Jen and folks will be checking the general DBED email address. Les won't be responding to his anymore. And thank you folks for throwing in for his gift. He was really, really happy. And I know he circulated a picture. And yeah, it's a lot of changes going on here. So another reminder that I didn't get on here, but if in case you haven't already done it, May 31st is the deadline for the ethics disclosures, right? So make sure that you folks get that in. You should have received an email directly from the state. And I think some of you already went ahead and did it. So if there's any issues, just reach out. Let's see. Next meeting coming up is Tuesday, June 6th. And then the meeting following that was actually Tuesday, July 4th. So that's a holiday. Trying to figure out when folks would want to do a meeting within that same week, or just looking ahead if we wanted to do it that Wednesday or the following Tuesday, the second Tuesday of the month. I don't know if folks.
Is that going to be a virtual meeting, Onana?
I believe it will be virtual. Just, yeah, I most likely at this point, I'll just say virtual. We'll try to plan another in-person meeting later in the year. I want to see who the new director is, and we'll have to, you know, bring them up to speed with everything and put in those requests.
I'm good any day that week if you want to keep it that week. Given that it's a holiday, maybe we should just move it to the following Tuesday, which would be the 11th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's okay. Wait, and when is Kamehameha Day again? Hold on. Kamehameha Day is the Wednesday. Okay, the 12th. So the 11th would be okay. I'm okay with the 11th if Tuesdays work better for
What's
people.
on the 12th?
The 12th is Kamehameha Day. Which
Isn't
is
it
Oh, wait.
June 12th?
Okay, I know, sorry. I'm in the wrong. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
You're-
June.
that's June. Okay.
Phew.
See, this
Come
is
boost
why
me.
I need help, guys. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, June. So should we do June 11th then? Tuesday, June 11th? That,
No,
July
let's do
11th.
July 11th.
yes.
July,
2023. At least we'll get the year right.
2020. Great. Thank you, everybody. It's been a really busy few weeks, and it's the rest of this month's going to be tough as well.
You're
So
doing an
for-
amazing job, Onana. Thank you.
No, thank you, everybody. That's very, very helpful. Okay. Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. Thank you, July 11th. Okay. Yeah, we'll keep that one virtual until further notice, but we'll definitely hopefully plan for another in-person meeting at some point. I do wanna, I feel like we've had a lot of transition, a lot of stuff going on with Ledge, a lot of transition in terms of, with Les leaving and then now with Scott leaving. So hopefully, in June or July, we can start picking up more of the substantive work. I think policies and procedures wise, we're pretty set on. I think, for rules committee, we haven't had a meeting in a while, but I think we probably should, because I know we still need to actually do the process of repealing the old procedural rules. That's something I think we should get going with and getting done. And then, maybe probably wrap up the exemptions pig coming up in the next couple of months too, especially since a lot of us are going to be terming out in 2024, if we can get the ball rolling on a lot of that stuff. And I think we'll have to have another conversation with ERP in terms of, other guidance and stuff that we want to do. So if everybody can kind of keep that in mind, I think we should probably start picking up a little bit more on our substantive work. And Mary, I see you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just, when we were doing the rules, we kept referring to things we were going to put on the green sheet.
Mm.
Because that's what the planning department on Oahu calls it, I think, with that term. Is my memory flawed, or is that something that we still need to accomplish?
No, so the green sheet, and others can speak up in case my memory was flawed, but the green sheet idea was for each agency to make their own green sheet, right?
Okay.
We
Okay.
used the term because DPP had a good kind of checklist for projects coming in to see whether or not they already satisfied 343,
Mhm.
whether they need to satisfy 343, do updates, whatnot. So
Okay.
yeah, we fashioned our rules to allow for something like that, and the procedures kind of say, okay, is this covered by a 343 document for this project? Does it kind of fit under another thing or whatnot? So that was the idea, and it wasn't on us to create a green sheet, because
Okay.
they differ between agencies depending on what kind of projects they do. Not every single agency is going to need it, but we wanted to encourage agencies to do that if that was helpful to them.
Okay. I just had this note to myself that I didn't.
So that one's not on our list, thankfully. But I know we talked about, again, working with stakeholders. One of the big ones was cultural guidance, right? Working with stakeholders, trying to get folks together to do pre-engagement before going to like general public for cultural guidelines. I think exemptions was one thing. I know for ERP, still updating the guidebook because, with the new rules, right? That never got done. And I know that was something that was big on Scott's list for this time around. So I think we will probably support ERP in that way, but that's largely a effort that should probably be spearheaded by them. But yeah, I think we should, get some of that kind of stuff done. And then we have the forums coming up and whatnot, which will be really good.
Do we want to have a conversation before we meet with Rep. Lowen and Senator Gabbard about the annual report, about other changes we've talked about? Do we want to focus or do we want to just separate those two ideas and just talk about the annual report?
No, I think we can push that conversation. Like, I don't think the conversation with Gabbard and Lowen needs to happen like in June even, right? We can probably push that a little later in the year once we identify some of these other things too. I think to better utilize their time. If we have other changes that need to be made, we should probably go in all at one time. So
I agree. I'm just thinking that maybe we ought to start that internal conversation about what else we want.
Yep, I think that's a good idea. Good place to start.
Yeah.
Steph, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. So when Scott was here last, and shared about leadership moving forward, there was, I think, he shared that there might be an interim director, with Mary Alice. Do we have any kind of an update on that?
I don't think anything official. I did, when I stopped in to see Les last week, stopped to chat with her for a little bit. And I think she is willing to do what is, what's necessary for the office. So that could be likely, but I don't have any official word yet on who the interim director would be. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And just in terms of process, a director wouldn't be able to come on until next session, correct? Because it'd have to be confirmed.
Not necessarily. There can be an interim appointment, right? So they
Okay.
would stay on until confirmed. So like how some of us were appointed not during session. What I understood from Mary Alice is that technically even, gosh, I don't know. I'm misremembering things. Well, I didn't have a huge grasp on it because it's technical state stuff. But I think even for interim appointments, I think they're only supposed to be 90 or 120 days technically, was what I understood from her, but that sometimes goes longer than that. So I don't know how many successive interim appointments one person can have.
It depends on the politics of how much the.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
So
it is supposed to be 90 days.
right. Okay. So TBD, who knows? And again, I don't know how strict the 90 days are, and if really people, like Mary said, it's probably political, people pay attention to it or not. But also I know Mary Alice also said if we know anybody who wants to apply, please get your applications in. So if you folks want to spread the word for that, I told her, I don't know if a lot of people on the council are real happy with the legislature right now. So good luck. Sorry, Robin, you had your hand up.
Yeah, on a related but different subject, and that is, do we want to do anything on the record or off the record for Scott? Is there, we thanked Les for his work. We chipped in for a gift. We said goodbye. Should we do the same thing for Scott, or should we just do something on the record for Scott? Or I didn't want to raise this while he was on.
No, that's good. Likewise, I didn't know if he was going to stay on. So, I mean, if everybody's willing, I'm happy to go pick something up for Scott as well. I was trying to think of what to get for him. I don't know. You guys like going to eat at FET, huh? Maybe a gift card to FET or something. I wasn't going to do a travel gift card for him because his wife, he has flight benefits, so he doesn't need it. But yeah, open to ideas. Let me know, because I can go pick something up tomorrow for him if you folks want to do something, if folks are willing to chip in. And I can drop it off to him Thursday morning. Sorry, Don, you have your hands up.
What about like a pen or, just something that always remember us by? But, I mean, food is always good and LA is always nice. And, I'm not sure if Les will ever come to any of the islands because he probably saw all the issues, but, it'd be something physical, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good idea. Happy, like I said, let me know. I'm on Oahu this week, so I can, if you guys have ideas, that's always the hardest part for me, is just figuring out what to get somebody, right? I mean, that's meaningful to them. That takes all the brain power. So
what if we did it? I think Dawn has a great idea, but what if we did it 180 degrees from that and did something that was memorable for just one night? For example, Scott loves good food. And I wondered if we could, buy he and his wife a dinner at a lovely restaurant in Honolulu and, pay for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something he can carry with him, but he does love to go out to eat, and he might enjoy it, something like that.
Yeah. Fine by me. I'm down for anything. So you guys just let me know what folks are comfortable with, and what do I need to do to make it happen. And then I can do a card for him, and I got to email you guys out, the card and everything that went to us. I'll get that done at some point just so folks can see. Yeah. But yes, I'm with you, Robin. So, I mean, I can shoot another email around, and again, if folks want to contribute, they can contribute, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Robin's idea, because if we do the same thing, you know, there's what, 15 or so, 16 of us, that
Yeah.
adds up to a pretty good dinner.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think we should be arranging the Uber ride too.
That's a really good point. In
Yeah.
fact, if we raise enough money, we could make it a special night and get a car to pick them up.
Yeah.
Might
That'd be
be
pretty
really-
cool.
I had that done once when I was at the end of my business, and it was really lovely. Have a
Mhm.
car pick you up, and you
Right.
anyway. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. Happy. Yeah. Again. Okay. So Robin, I might actually have you help me coordinate this one, since
Okay, sure. I'd be glad to.
takes a little bit more legwork, but okay, that sounds good. So keep an eye out for an email from us on that, and we'll get something to Scott to thank him for everything he's done for us. So
Okay.
okay, any other announcements? We're kind of early on time today, since we don't have too much substantive work, but questions, comments, anything else I'm forgetting to mention?
I have a slight comment. And so I asked Allison to help me with this. I was looking at some rules under DLNR for, 205A and how they're interpreting it into the environmental assessment, because I was looking at an older EA. And then I noticed that the rule is different under the capital.gov. And so I asked Allison to help me, because I thought I was dyslexic. I was like, why does this language in here? And so I'm not sure if this is under our purview, but I would certainly like all the departments to have the more current rules, whatever goes into an environmental assessment, because I feel like if some departments have like older rules and they're not keeping up with the more current, then at some point I could see a legal challenge somewhere. I'm not saying where, I know, but I could see somebody saying, well, that's not the right rule. And so, the EA is horrible and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so Allison, thank you for helping me, because I thought I was really going crazy.
So it's in DLNR's administrative rule. Do they still reference HAR 11200? Is that it, or?
It's not I think it's not just the EAC rules, but it's like any rule. So I don't know, any rule that relates to data that would go into the environmental assessment. So not necessarily like, it would be like 205A and 171, just to make sure like their rules are current enough that when they're doing the environmental assessment, that they're quoting the right rule and the right language, even though it's very similar. Does that make sense?
I think I might need an example.
Sorry,
just-
Odana, I think it's just the terminology.
Okay.
Odana is using the term rule, but I think she's referring to the statute.
Sorry, yes, yeah. So I don't have any examples, but I was just wondering, in case of, if we're gonna be having people submit environmental assessments and then they're looking at different rules, not necessarily our rule, it would be incumbent, I think, for all departments and anybody who has a HAR or HRS to make sure that their stuff is most current on the website. But I don't think it's, I don't know, maybe it's not us to deal with, but I feel like it's significant enough that it should be somewhere updated or asked, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. So are you talking about, because like DLNR lists the statutes that apply to what's in their jurisdiction, but the copy that they have is not maybe the
Yeah.
copy that's in capital.
Yeah.
So
I think
for
in this case, it was chapter 205A. They had an
Yeah.
old version of 205A, which was
Yeah.
amended 2 years ago.
Okay.
And
No,
the
that's
language,
Yeah. So go ahead.
yeah, the language has really changed, with climate change. So now, the language is definitely more specific in terms of coastal erosion and sustainability. And, so I'm just thinking, if I was reading this EA and I'm looking at an incorrect administrative rule to apply to an environmental assessment, I would be concerned, because I'm thinking, hey, maybe these people never thought that, there are some other things that they have to look at, because the language is different now. That's all.
No, that's a good point. And maybe this is something we could do even more informally through like a letter from the council to the agency saying, hey, we were poking around on your website. We noticed you have old versions of statutes, we suggest that you update that with the current version or something to that effect, right? Just kind of like a heads up. It doesn't need to be all super official. I mean, obviously there's concern if people aren't looking at the right versions of the statutes. And I don't know if staff is actually using that, but it's more of like what's available to the public, right?
Yeah, and staff might not know that, the more current version
Yeah.
is at, where Allison said is at the capital.gov
Yeah.
website,
Yeah.
And I think actually I did ask staff somewhere and they're like, no, that's the most current rule. So somebody's just not updating on their websites.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some agencies, rather than try to put their own copy, the better practice might be to just link.
Yeah.
So that
Lazy.
automatically changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a suggestion in the letter too. And I don't know if Don, I know you guys got forums coming up. If it's something I know might want to take a crack at drafting a letter or whatnot, but that might kind of be the way to do it. Just suggestion and to link to capital.gov.
Yeah.
I can see why some agencies do it. I think capital.gov website, it's kind of ugly and like you got to click into each section. It doesn't give you the compilation of this whole statute. You know what I mean? So it's, depending for members of the public for access purposes. So there can be a couple of suggestions or recommendations on that. But yeah, I think we have to just do it as a recommendation. I don't know that we have any authority to tell them to change their
Yeah,
website.
you can give it a friendly suggestion.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. Okay, that's something we can work on. And yeah, maybe I would say if INO wants to take a crack at the language, then we can go from there. All right. Anything else from anybody? Okay, well, thank you folks again for your kind attention. And then Robin, you and I can talk offline. Next meeting, Tuesday, June 6th. So agendas, last change. With Les leaving, ERP staff has asked us to, I think we're, technically the agenda deadline is 6 days before the next meeting, right? So we have a Tuesday meeting, we have to get agendas posted by Wednesday. So I usually ask you folks, give me your agendas no later than Tuesday of the week before. ERP staff has asked that we give our agendas actually the Friday before to give them time to come up to speed in terms of reviewing agendas, give Allison some time to review, and then I think they're planning to post them earlier. And if there are any issues with the agenda, we have some time to adjust and revise. So for committee chairs, if you can please keep that in mind. So the Friday, I guess it's 2 Fridays now before. Oh gosh, how many days is that? You're giving me your agendas on the Friday before the Tuesday that used to give them to me.
Why don't you just do it tomorrow, everybody? And then
Yeah, I mean, that's easier when it's fresh in your mind, but yeah, so just don't be alarmed or, said if I'm asking you for your agendas earlier, that's the reason why. Learning curve, and then it'll give us time to review and also to make changes if needed. Questions? Go ahead, Mary.
This is sort of like how the legislature says, well, we're only going to tax this for a little while. And then we're going to change, we'll take the tax away. I'm not criticizing the reason that staff feels they need this in the interim. But it's just really better if we're all on the same page with other state agencies. And so 6 days before is 6 days before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, during the that furlough thing, they changed the recording of documents to be 3 days from the neighbor islands instead of 2 days. We've been off furlough for 10 years and we're still having to do the stupid 3-day rule. And so I just want us to remember that we made this change for a little while. Please.
Good point. Good point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ron, go ahead, and then Tessie.
yeah, I just wanted to, this is sort of on the point. I don't think we're going to have an exemptions committee meeting this next meeting. I'll be absent. I will be away. And Michelle could do it, but I don't think she's going to have the material and everything. So don't look for an exemptions committee in June.
All right. Thanks, Ron. Tessie?
I just wanted to ask you a question
Sure.
offline real fast. I just need your address so I can send.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Okay, I'll email it to you after.
Okay, thank you.
Tessie. Okay, Don, go ahead.
So Scott's last day is Thursday?
It's Thursday, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm gonna try pick
So
something
send-
up for him tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, and then if you're gonna go with the limo party bus option and dinner, you'll let us know how much to chip in.
Right. Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Robin and I will talk after this. We'll try to come up with a plan quick, and then yeah, we'll email everybody like we did last time. And in
Um,
any event, I'll try to get him a lay and everything on Thursday and a card from all of us. Yeah.
There'll be no ledge committee next
Okay,
month,
right. Yep.
obviously, so. And I'm not sure about strategic planning. I'll talk with you about that later on.
When it comes to, okay, that's fine. Okay, anything else, folks? Thank you so much all for your time. Really, really appreciate it. It is 2:27 p.m. I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn the meeting. I will see you folks in June. All right. Thanks,
Aloha.
everyone, and take care.
Thanks, Onana.
Thanks.
Aloha.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.